infidelity piece, when I learned about it, what I realized is we had to make some changes.
I wanna know what love is, so I'll keep trying to describe.
We chose marriage over music. We chose faith over fame, simply from the standpoint of we wanted something that mattered.
There's questions because people don't see me out with nobody. They know I got this big record, but they don't see me dating nobody. And so, you know, back at the time, they're like, well, is he gay? Like, you know, what's going on with him? Who is this guy? So I'm with Wendy Williams, and she's like, yo, you got all this fame, you got big records, all this money and everything. There's gotta be somebody in your life that you're sharing it with. And I said to Wendy, I'm married to my music.
You understand the other side of it as well. And so part of it, I think, was the same way she probably knew when I was doing things that there was something that wasn't right. You know, I knew that there was something that wasn't right. I didn't know how to express it. I didn't know what it was. And literally all the years that I had been saying to God, I don't understand how she could forgive me. I could not fathom what I had done to her. I could not fathom how how she could forgive me. And God was like, I'm going to show you. And so I had to go to God first, and God had to be able to say, if you agree to forgive her, I'm going to help you heal, and you'll understand what it takes to forgive somebody else. And so when I went to her, that was that.
I went into ministry reluctant because I thought after the music business had come to an end, and at the top of 2011, I started working as a lead worship pastor at Victory Well Church in Norcross, Georgia.
There's questions because people don't see me out with nobody. They know I got this big record, but they don't see me dating nobody. And so, you know, back at the time, they're like, well, is he gay? Like, you know, what's going on with him? Who is this guy? So I'm with Wendy Williams, and she's like, yo, you got all this fame, you got big records, all this money and everything. There's gotta be somebody in your life that you're sharing it with. And I said to Wendy, I'm married to my music.
What do you think of when you hear the name Montell Jordan? Bet it's that unforgettable anthem, This Is How We Do It.
This is how we do it.
That track didn't just make him a star, it turned him into a household name back in 1995. As soon as Montell dropped that jam, it seemed like everyone was hooked on his sound. But just when he was riding high at the top of his game, bam, he vanished. And folks couldn't help but wonder, what happened? Did he get caught up in some drama with the industry's big players? Or maybe, like so many others, the money troubles caught up with him. But hold up. Let me tell you something you might not know. The same Montell Jordan who blessed us with that hit went through some serious personal drama that hit harder than any top chart song ever could. We're talking infidelity, marriage issues, and a whole career change that had folks doing a double take.
I just don't want to go to this party tonight. I know these are your friends. I know this is special, but I'm just not feeling them tonight like that.
Baby, can't you see it in my eyes? I wanna take you home.
So, how in the world did the guy who had us all wanting to ride end up as a pastor? Let's break it down. Montell Duchamp Barnett Jordan was born on December 3rd, 1968 in South Central Los Angeles, raised by two Baptist parents who had him involved in the church since day one. He may have been playing piano for the church, but trust, young Montell had bigger dreams than just being in the choir.
I was a musician at my church from the time I was 9 till I was about 21.
He went on to graduate from Pepperdine University with a degree in communications and tried his luck in the entertainment world, starting with TV infomercials before finally hitting it big in music. Montell's entry into the music scene was nothing short of a fairy tale. After a performance that caught the attention of some industry heavyweights, he signed with Def Jam Records in 1995, becoming one of their first R&B artists. And when This Is How We Do It dropped, Montell was officially a household name. That smooth, laid-back anthem to street life and partying. It spent 7 weeks at #1 on the Billboard charts and became one of the most iconic R&B jams of the 90s.
How we do it, it's Friday night.
But hold up, the heat didn't stop there. He gave us something special for the honey. Then, he hit us with that back to summer vibe that showcased his cool, effortless style. And let's not forget Let's Ride. He brought in Master P and Silk the Shocker, and that funky beat had everyone grooving. Get it on tonight, oh you know the vibe. Then came 99, another classy, smooth, and dominating the R&B charts. And who could forget those moments when we were all falling? Bye. Both of those tracks were soulful hits that really showcased Montell's range and ability to connect with the crowd. But behind all that glitz and glam, things weren't as shiny as they appeared. Montell was living the high life, rubbing elbows with the elite and touring the country. But there was a dark side lurking in the background, one that would shift the course of his life forever. Jordan admitted himself that during his prime, his marriage wasn't exactly a priority. He was too busy putting his career first, hitting party after party, living that rock star life. That was his reality. If you were a fan back then, you might still remember another one of his hits, Let's Rock. And baby, that video had so much strip club footage, it's hard to imagine him not being knee-deep in that scene. Montell even laughed at how his music felt like a cry for help, saying he lived out his art. In his own words, it was life imitating art, or maybe the other way around.
Making music was the best and the worst time of my life. Best time basically because I was able to create music that becomes a soundtrack to people's lives, but some of the worst times in my life simply because of being away from home, and I'm experiencing the temptations of being away.
Behind the scenes, Montell was hiding a big secret. While his fans adored him, few knew that he was already married to his manager, Kristen Hudson. The two had tied the knot in 1994, but to keep his heartthrob image intact, they kept it on the down low. Montell wanted Kristen to be respected as a business manager, not just the wife of a star. For years, Montell skillfully dodged questions about his relationship status, even telling interviewers that he was married to his music.
I'm married, but I'm hiding it. And so in order for me to give the persona that I'm the single R&B available guy, and for my wife to be the respected business manager who's not just the wife, we're hiding our marriage. And basically whatever you don't put in the forefront plays the background.
The fact that nobody knew about his marriage had fans going wild with rumors. People were whispering, is Montell, gay? The gossip was everywhere, and his secret marriage had everyone curious and confused. Eventually, Montell and Kristen decided to come clean, but trust, that wasn't the end of their story.
Best way I can explain it, I want to try and give the best analogy I can, is that I was with Wendy Williams on Hot 97 in New York City. There's questions because people don't see me out with nobody. They know I got this big record, but they don't see me dating nobody. And so, back at the time, they're like, well, is he gay? What's going on with him? Who is this guy? There's got to be something, popping off with him. And Def Jam was like, you got to say something.
Montell Jordan hit his lowest point. He was living two lives, and honestly, he got so tangled up in his lies that it took a real friend to step in. Imagine the shock on his friend's face when he found Montell on tour, caught up in a situation with a woman who wasn't his wife. This wasn't just a slip-up. It was part of a much bigger lie. One of his close friends walked in on the whole thing, and that's when Montell truly realized the mess he had gotten himself into.
Infidelity issues came as a result of being in the business. While I was doing business and at home, I was leaving him out on the road, kind of exposed for a lot of what was to come. It's kind of a setup for a marriage when you have both of these worlds collide.
And just like that, everything started falling apart. As much as Montell tried to distance himself from that toxic lifestyle, the damage had already been done. His lies began to unravel when a couple he had vacationed with, friends he trusted, decided to cut ties. Why? Because they knew he'd been cheating on his wife, and they couldn't keep standing by while he lied to her and used them as an excuse to keep living in deceit.
You understand the other side of it as well. And so part of it, I think, was the same way she probably knew when I was doing things that there was something that wasn't right. I knew that there was something that wasn't right. I didn't know how to express it. I didn't know what it was. And literally all the years that I had been saying to God, I don't understand how she could forgive me. I could not fathom what I had done to her. I could not fathom how she could forgive me. And God was like, I'm going to show you. And so I had to go to God first, and God had to be able to say, if you agree to forgive her, I'm going to help you heal, and you'll understand what it takes to forgive somebody else. And so when I went to her, that was that.
This is where things take a major turn. Montell Jordan knew he had a tough choice ahead of him. Come clean to his wife, or let her find out the harsh truth from someone else. He admits, if Kristen had heard the truth from anyone but him, he wasn't sure he'd survive it. And by survive, he means life or death levels of survival. Montell was staring down a tough reality. His marriage could end, or he could lose it all. His career, his home, his family. But one thing was clear, he had to come clean. The man who once didn't think twice about cheating, lying, and living recklessly now found himself at a crossroads.
Fidelity piece, when I learned about it, what I realized is we had to make some changes.
I wanna know the love is, so I'll keep trying to describe.
We chose marriage over music. We chose faith over fame, simply from the standpoint of we wanted something that mattered.
The fallout was huge. Fights, heartache, and a future that seemed uncertain. But Montell knew that by being honest, he had a shot at rebuilding what he had broken. If he had stayed silent, well, let's just say the outcome would have been way darker.
God took our story and he allows us to be transparent with it so that when people come here, they know they can be transparent as well.
If it was reversed and Kristen had cheated on you, do you think you could have forgiven her and stayed in marriage?
Yes.
Really? What do you mean? What happened?
Later,
You cheated on him?
not, and the honest thing almost killed me. Literally.
Did you tell him or he found out?
No.
You told him.
God.
And that was
that was
a
a whole nother.
see, this is so you getting stuff that
Yeah,
most
because I
people
got
don't
some more
know.
questions. Because I'm sitting up
Most
here
people
like,
they don't know this story because people get real mouthy.
That moment marked the beginning of a whole new chapter. A chapter where Montell Jordan would walk away from the flashy, fame-chasing world of entertainment and step into a life that was truly fulfilling.
We were in an abusive relationship, not abusive to each other, but the other relationship that we were in with the music business was abusive. And so literally we had to step away and choose our marriage.
By 2010, Montell made a move that left fans speechless. He left the entertainment game to become a pastor. Yep, you heard me right. The same man who once sang about parties, wild nights, and love affairs was now leading a church in Norcross, Georgia. Today, Montell's net worth sits at $500,000, which is nothing to sneeze at. And while some folks might say he could have lived bigger and banked more, Montell stands firm in his decision to serve God and do it with everything he's got.
I went into ministry reluctant because I thought after the music business had come to an end and at the top of 2011, I started working as a lead worship pastor at Victory World Church in Norcross, Georgia.
Let me set the record straight. This wasn't some midlife crisis. Montell Jordan always knew there was more to life than just fame and fortune. In fact, from a young age, he felt a pull towards ministry. But how do you go from touring with the hottest acts of the 90s to preaching the word of God?
My day 2 on the job, I got there and there's this license, a ministry license on my desk that says Pastor Montell Jordan. I'm like, whoa, somebody made a very, very bad mistake. You know, they hired an R&B recording artist to come in and to lead them in music, to be their worship leader. So I called human resource and I'm like, hey, yo, I think somebody made a mistake. I'm not a pastor. And oh no, you're a pastor. It's a pastoral position. You can marry people, bury people, baptize people. It's a pastoral job. And so it took me months to get to a place of being comfortable being called pastor. It's a great purpose. And now I'm Pastor Montell and I'm cool with that.
For Montell, it was a calling he couldn't ignore. The music world just didn't satisfy him anymore. It never filled him up the way he thought it would. The best and worst thing I ever did, he says, was working in the industry. So he made the bold decision to leave it all behind and serve God and his community instead. And here's the twist. He wasn't just preaching to the choir. Montell went on to co-found Victory World Music. So, Montell Jordan wasn't just out here making hits. He was also building a whole collective at his church, dropping Christian music to lift others up. But hold up, that's not where it stops. Stay locked in for the next chapter of Montell's wild ride, because this redemption story, it's just getting started. Now let me tell you, I'm shocked and honestly impressed that Montell Jordan walked away from the spotlight, trading the glam of Hollywood for a deeper connection with God. That's bold.